Good morning.
Hey everybody.
We're
snowing.
Yeah, only standing here because of how excited we are for the snow outside. Us up here in the Northwest sometimes don't get it as much as others.
There is a whopping maybe 2 inches outside. Maybe 2 inches.
2 inches. Yeah, I want to see your tape measure.
So what did we talk about today, Dominic? What did we read?
Well, we've been talking about the models. We've talked about them a few times already throughout the book, but this time we're going a little bit even more in depth. So we talked about the lead generation model, and we talked about the budget model a little bit further. So lead gen, what stood out for you, Nick?
All right, so lead gen, this is, be marketing based, prospecting enhanced. So that was kind of an aha. We've read this book multiple times, Dominic, when we're going through today. What clicked for me is being marketing based is do what you can leverage. Now, it can cost a lot more, like when you're marketing like mailers and people that you haven't met. Well, that you can leverage out because you haven't met them. It's not requiring you to make a phone call. So be marketing based because you can leverage that out. And prospecting enhanced, which means keep doing your prospecting, whether it's canceled expireds, whether it's your 33 touch, because that right there is going to help get you through any type of a shift. When just attracting leads to come into you with your marketing just doesn't do it in tougher economic times.
Right, and they definitely talk about, like, if you have stopped some system and say that something does shift. If you're restarting a system, the leads necessarily don't come in immediately. The lag time for starting a new system to getting those leads is pretty substantial depending on the type of system it is. So you want to make sure it's always running. You want to make sure you're holding it accountable, right, which goes into the budget model. But if you stop a system, it takes a lot longer to restart it, because a lot of times, especially talking like internet lead generation, most of the people you're registering on your site, my site, I know are 12 to 18 months out before they're ready to buy. So say you stop that lead generation model for 6 months and then you see a shift in the market and you need that again, you start that back up, you could be a year out before you're seeing a lot of those benefits.
Here's the other fascinating thing in the lead generation model here, Dominic. So if you need to net $1 million, you need to have 320 sales. And it goes through, if you have clients on a 33 touch versus haven't met people that are your target market, that you're marketing 12 direct to, so a mailer every month. So you're going to have 1,920 people in your Met database on a 33 touch.
An effective 33 touch.
To net 320 sales. Vice versa, do you want to have, you're going to have 16,000 people in your haven't met database that you're sending one mailer a month to, or one something a month, to net the 320 sales. So do you want to have 1,920 people in your met database or 16,000 in your haven't met? Kind of a trick question.
Or a combination of the two. Right.
That's exactly it, because the book's talking about why not do both. Have a combination, and you don't need to start small. So if you had one person in your database every single day, it says you worked about 240 days a year, you have 240 leads. If you had 2 a day, you're going to have double that, and it's going to take you...
So what they're saying, is if you do add one person to your Met database each day to add to your yearly 33 touch system, it would take you about 8 years, starting from scratch, to build an effective 1,900 plus database that would net you $1 million. And obviously, if you're adding 2 or 3 or whatever it is, that's going to cut that time down substantially. But
start today is what that says.
Start today. And then the budget model, really, they're talking about, obviously, your 2 biggest expenses are going to be your salaries and your lead generation expenses. We've already gone over what those numbers should look like based on where your income is, but holding them accountable is the thing we just keep hearing over and over again. They said if you can't explain something in your budget, then it should not be there.
That was the big thing I took from the budget model. You should be able to look at your financial statement and understand every single one of your expense lines, be able to defend why it's there, explain why it's there, and explain what you expect to get from it being there. How many leads, how many closings, how many anything, which I think you and I both need to be working on this.
Well, we have been, but it's pretty eye-opening when we kind of look at each other, and I'm like, Nick, what's that? And then you're like, Dominic, what's that? I'm like, oh, well, okay, scratch that one out. So that's easy to do.
So it's a process. And if you have any other questions about the details here or want to know any of these figures, give us a call. There's a bunch of stuff listed out. And what's really cool, breaks out the budget model into a bunch of graphs and pie charts. So
if you're visual like us, that helps. It's very helpful.
That helps, and we won't bore you with those details.
But next call or next video will be going over in-depth model 4, the organization model, a little bit further, which is talking about who you're hiring. So
exciting.
Yep.
High five. Talk to you later.